And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben, and this is my film review for Thar, a Netflix original Indian movie. It wasn't one that was on my radar, but when I saw it pop up in there, I went, yes, another world cinema, another Netflix drop. You know, they drop a cornucopia of content every week and try and cover the anime, the animation, all the world cinema content that they provide. So here is the next one. Let me know if in the comments below, do you know any of these actors? Or had you heard about this? Was this on your radar? But for now, let's jump in. A man who moves to a big town to seek a job and to avenge his past. Directed by Raj Singh Chaudhary. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the Indian names because I think I will just destroy them and I don't want to dishonor the people that are acting in this film. Suffice to say, I'm starting to recognize faces from the Indian films that we get on Netflix, specifically a few on Amazon and a few outside of that net, but it's nice to see some familiar faces of like, I know that person. I feel like I'm starting to understand the culture, some of the nuances, how they go about filmmaking, some of the little kind of cliches that you would have in a Bollywood film or an Indian film that would mean more to the culture than would mean to persons from outside of that culture. Nevertheless, here we are with a 2-hour film that is about a revenge story. It starts off with this guy in a very simple synopsis. He comes to do a job, he's got people that he's got to hire, but in the background of that, he has a revenge story to complete within this 2-hour runtime. I first should say that the first thing you're going to notice is it's a builder, it's a puzzle piece, and it feels like, if you're watching it, feels like it could be really slow, but I think that works in favor of this particular film because of how it's a puzzle piece. It shows you what's going on around the culture in this, on like just in the desert on the border of Pakistan. So there's danger there all the time, just kind of in the background, which is a nice little kind of quiver in the cap of the tenseness of this film. So even though it's slow, there is some, I guess there is some tenseness just because of that. And then you add in the revenge plot line. Then you add in not knowing, but you're trying to figure out as the story is revealing some of those story plot lines to you. And I think it's enough to keep you engaged. What kept me engaged was the cinematography. Absolutely stunning. Wide vistas, those kind of desert shots, various different color palettes with the white sands, kind of the salty flats. Then you have those orange hues at night as well, beautifully shot, around fireplaces. Just the color palette of the clothes and the tone that the people wear in the culture. I think that adds to some of the, I guess, the mystery of the story. I should say that it is very brutal because it is a revenge plotline. There is some torture in here. If you are squirmish, then I think you're not going to enjoy this because there are moments I was just like, wow, this is reminding me of films like Seven because of the torture. This is also reminding me of some of those darker series that we get on Netflix. I'm only using Netflix as a platform as an example because this isn't a Netflix original film and it makes sense to do that. But there are many others to choose from, specifically in the Indian genre. There are a few of those as well that uses music, color palette and tone to kind of show the story, but then goes for the kind of the brutal, oh, you weren't expecting that, were you? And I think all in all, when it comes together, it's put together quite well, but I do think some people are going to have issues with it being quite slow. When it comes to the acting, I think the acting is great. There is our main protagonist, the revenge kind of dude. There's a lot going on within his face, but not really revealing too much. So I would say not his face, but his eyes. He's telling a story. You know he's gone through some traumatic trauma, but he doesn't really ever tell you until the story allows you to understand that story. Then we have this cop who's not really been a cop yet. He's been a cop for a long time, but he's not really done any proper police work. This is the first time, and he's really enjoying that part of it with his overweight partner. That adds a sort of levity to the darkness of the film that is continued throughout the movie. I don't think it's one that I'm going to go back to, but as a one-time watch for the cinematography, for the story, because it's Indian and it's world cinema, I would say, yeah, it's probably a 3.5 Nicolas Cage out of 5. I wouldn't go higher than that. I think if I came back to watch it probably a second time, my score might slowly kind of drop to that 3 mark, kind of middle of the ground. But because of how it looks, and I think the acting, the story isn't unique. We've seen it done all before, but the way it's portrayed, the way we get to unravel that mystery with these actors. I think that itself was interesting. Let me know your thoughts about this. Are you going to check it out? It's one of those probably lesser known ones in our side of the pond, but I know it was being looked forward to in I guess India. The trailers alone suggest that it looks like it was quite popular with like 14 million views, but you never quite can tell on those. So I'd be interested to know if this is one you're going to check out. What is your favorite current, not necessarily Netflix, but just Indian movie? I'd be interested to hear what I should be watching. Thanks as always so much for checking out my YouTube channel. Don't forget there is a Patreon with really exclusive fun content, more about me and Chris from Movies and Munchies, our collaboration, our weekly collaboration that we add new content there every week with our podcast. That is the best thing we watch this week, and then our Patreon, which is the bearded ones. So do check that out. Thanks so much for watching this, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long on Tuesday.